deal with the pain of your mother dying, and at the same time you find out you're pregnant with your first child. Yeah, and to have that bit of panic and that juxtaposition of I'm happy about this, but I'm also extremely sad. Can you tell us about your mother when she passed? Because that really landed with me.
That was awful. It was one of the worst times of my life because I lost my mother 6 months after I got married, and she wasn't there when I had a baby. And the realization of her not being there really came because my breast got engorged, and I just picked up the phone to call her, and I realized she wasn't there. With your mom, you always say, I know my mama would know what to do. If my baby has colic, my mama would know what to do. And it is the most painful thing to know that my child would never get to meet her grandma. It was a really hard time, and that's, I think, a lot of the fact that I lost both of my parents within a 2-year span. And I have to say, to give Matthew credit, that he helped the church into letting my mom have Holy Communion.
Because she couldn't, because she was divorced.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she watched her ex-husband go to communion because we were all like a family every Sunday, and he had been married like 6 times. And she had only been married 1 time before and went to Mass 7 days a week, but she could not go take Holy Communion. How chauvinistic and crazy was that? And he, and my mom's dying wish that she could take communion. And he actually called the bishop and fought with him.
Matthew who called the bishop.
He called the bishop.
And
Somehow he made that happen, and my mom died at peace because she was able to take Holy Communion. That was so important to her. So he protected me. He fought for me, and I hadn't had that before. So I think it always came back to that. I would break up, and then somebody would mess with me or mess with my kids, and then I would call him because you want him on your team because he's a warrior. And he would come and work things out, and then the next thing I know, I'd be right back in the same situation.
That's when you know how to work it out. So you have this baby, and your sister, you decided he wanted to take you away.
Yes.
And you were tired, you just wanted to feel better, you were going to leave the baby with your sisters. And what did you say when you told her?
I called my sister, who is very dry. And I was on her 10th birthday, and she said I came into the world screwing her life up. I never forgave me. But anyway, I called her and I said, Flo, I'm going to let you keep Beyonce. And she said, let me keep her. And I was like, God, hung up the phone. Then I called my older sister and I said, I can't stand Flo. I said I was going to let her keep my baby, and I told her I would let her keep me. She said, that baby ain't no prize. And everybody thinks that their baby is a prize. So when I called my older sister, she said, Tina, Flo got 4 children. All of us got a million children. You think your baby's special? That's just a baby. And I was like, bye. And I called my cousin, and she came over and kept her. But it's very true. Like when people got a lot of kids, your baby ain't all that, but your first baby, you think it's like.
I just think it's funny that your first baby is Beyonce, your sister. That baby ain't special. They never would have lived together. I would call every day like, hey, you see what she just did? So you have Beyonce, and she is in dance class, and she is the dance teacher who told you she could sing. This is the thing that people get misconstrued, and I didn't know this either, but people think you were a star mom. Like you were so far away from trying to be a star mom. You were running your business, headliners, your own hair salon that was killing it.
Yes.
And you had your own life, and here comes this girl, and she can sing, and she's got talent. And it was Matthew who was like, let me see how I can help you, right?
Well, both of us supported her because I believe with all my heart that if your child wants to do whatever, ride horses, do, you should support that 100%. So when I saw the interest in it, of course I was on board with helping her to reach her dream, but it's not like I just said one day, oh, you know, I want her to be a star, and I want to go be a stage mother. First of all, I didn't have time. So he took her to all the performances. Her dance teacher entered her into a pageant, which I didn't want her to do, because I don't want her to grow up thinking, oh, you know, it's so much about beauty. And she said, oh, she only has to compete one time for beauty, and after that, she'll just be able to do talent. So, you know, I supported her as much as I could, and then Solange came along. I definitely didn't want this for Solange. Because what I have, you know, Beyonce since day one, and Angie can attest to this, all she wanted to do was sing and dance and entertain, and that was her whole life. She wasn't popular in school. She wasn't the social butterfly.
Yeah, it was sad to hear about it at the swing when you left the salon. She left the salon to go and see what was happening with her, and she was at the swing as a little girl, swinging by herself. She didn't have any friends.
Yeah.
And you felt really, really bad.
I felt so sad. I quit beauty school that day. I was like, come on, we got here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay home with her a little longer. But you know, Solange on the other hand was a social butterfly. She was a popular girl. And she had all these options.
Yeah, and who was very bad. And then the second baby, Solange. And I love the way you found the name. You guys need to read about that. But she comes along and she is this fiercely independent, very clear-minded, mischievous child, right? But she was clearly laser focused. And to see her have her own world, her own space, her own identity has been really phenomenal to see. From the class flowing to from the singing to the music, Solange is really a force of nature. So you got and you're at this moment where, okay, I've got Solange here who needs structure, who had a lot of tragedy in losing people. From her therapist, who she loved.
Really young.
Yeah, she lost very young. And then Uncle Johnny.
Uncle Johnny,
Yes.
she loved, and you know, my kids were obsessed with Johnny. That's how they love high school so much, because they were, you know, he was such a force in your life, and she lost him pretty young, and then she lost her best friend, shot in the head by, you know, some kid with a stray bullet, and all of this trauma happened to her, and I never knew how much that affected her, but all of a sudden she just wanted to quit show business and live her life and get married and have kids and hurry up, because she just felt like something was going to happen to her and she wasn't going to live to be older.
And that's why she wanted to speed the timetable.
She wanted to speed it up. She's like, I'm ready to get married, I'm ready to have kids, I want to have my life because I'm not going to be here that long. And I said, well, what? You know, but it was the trauma of losing all those people.
And at that time, we didn't understand the depths of what trauma can do.
Absolutely.
Especially as parents, like we fully didn't get it. So I understand that. So she chose a time to tell you she was having a baby.
Yeah.
And I love the specific time when she told you she was pregnant.
Yeah, she told me we were on the way to the Grammys, and she knew I had to work. And so she picked that time so that I couldn't. I was so in shock I didn't have to go to work because.
She dropped the ball. I'm pregnant. Get out the car. I'll see you all. Enjoy the red carpet. Enjoy the red carpet.
Exactly.
Also during this time, you have Angie, who is a part of the family, like one of your daughters, is one of your daughters, and Michelle. Kelly, Michelle, come along, Kelly, one of your daughters, and her mother. This is just so fascinating. Her mother was a domestic.
Yes, she
and they would live in different houses with the families.
Yes.
And she got a job with a family that didn't want Kelly there.
Yes.
So Kelly ended up living with you.
Yeah. Well, Kelly couldn't get to rehearsals, and so a lot of times we'd have to pick her up, and the family didn't want her driving through our neighborhood because it was a predominantly black neighborhood. And so she's like, I don't want you taking my kids over there, so she couldn't get Kelly to practice. So we said, let her stay this summer, and that way we won't have to worry about it. And that summer turned into, until Kelly was 23. She was the last one to leave home, actually.
So to have, okay, so now there's the part where Destiny Child is starting to happen. And you were so busy in the salon, things were slacking, and you had to, at the salon, that you had to go on full time with the girls to make sure they were protected. And listen, because there's a lot of crazy stuff in this business, especially the music.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
Yeah. And they finally got a deal. And what were they saying? What did the people say about the costumes you were making?
Oh, they said that they were country, they were tacky, they looked like Motown, and I said, well, that was the idea. They just didn't believe in it. And they were always hating, the press was hating, and I had big hair and I was country, and I remember one time going to a shoot and Beyonce said, Mama, if you just put some locks in your hair and start talking with the next scenes, they probably would like it. Because you're just kind of country and you just,
I'm sorry, do that accent again. What is the accent? So you start making these costumes, and look at this picture right here. This looks like some J-Lo later on. You start making these costumes, they're making fun of you, but then the next season you see version rip-offs on the runway.
On the runway. I mean, I would see it, and I would see the fans, making the things, and so it just became a thing with us where we don't care what you say, it's about the fans. They love the clothes.
So to see this happen, Destiny Child's happening, and they're traveling all over the world, you're exhausted, and people are treating you like crap. Record labels treat you like crap. Please tell these folks what the record label said, what they wanted to have. I'm gonna tell you. Look, I'm gonna set it up. They wanted to have a meeting with Matthew, okay? And so Matthew goes in to have this meeting, and what did they say to him?
They said, we appreciate Miss Tina, but she is going to be the reason why the girls don't cross over. And, the clothes are just too sparkly, they're too Motown, their hair is too big. We just need to have a better stylist for them. And which you can imagine what my ex did, because he modeled it. And he went in for a meeting a few days later where
don't just say he cussed him out. He cussed him okay.
And he went in and they were having a meeting. He waited until all of them were gathered. That Noel Sure was there. And he walked in and he turned the lights off and he turned it back on and he said, remember who's keeping the lights on in this?
They're talking about his wife. They're all sitting around the table. He walks in and turns the light off. And then everybody's like, then he turns back on. Don't forget who's keeping the lights on. Destiny Child had some huge hits and they were blowing up. Yeah.
And they, the crossover thing happened.
Yeah.
And so, my mom used to say, don't change the world, don't let the world change you. They have to follow. They'll get it. They might get it tomorrow. They might get it next year, but they'll get it eventually, right, Virgo?
Yeah, that's right. Here's what I know. I remember back then, what are you going to do to cross over? What are you going to do to cross over? So what that would always tell me is that my black folks, my blackness, my black dollar is not enough. I've got to do something to reach you. No, that street ain't no barriers. You can come on over here and see what's going on with this. And then when they start to blow up, designers are sending them things, and there was this one video shoot, and they wanted to use these different designers. And what did the girls say?
Well, the girls stuck up for me. And Matthew again said, are y'all gonna let these people do this? And they said, no, we want you to do clothes. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to hold y'all back. Be the reason why you're held back. And I get teary-eyed thinking about it because they all said no. And yes, you can do this more upscale designer stuff, but we want one of your things one of your leather cutout outfits, and I did one, and it was great.
Yeah.
It was really accepted, and they kind of left me alone after that.
Yeah, because the thing about it is this, it's like nobody would dress them because they were black girls with certain curves.
And the curves.
That were curvy.
And they were country. They're from Texas.
But the designers would always be like, no. And so you were making everything.
Yes.
And then when they blow up, the designers are like, oh, here, let's try this, let's try that. Yeah, no,
That's the thing, when you don't have any money,
Exactly.
that's when nobody wants to give you anything. When you get the money, you don't need it, then everybody wants to give you.
I say that's backwards, right?
So they're blowing up, and it's time for Beyonce to go solo. And there's this great moment
For all the girls to go solo. All three of them.
That's you're exactly right. There's read the book because there's a lot that's missing in what I'm saying, but you see it all in the pages. So they all went solo. Kelly had a huge hit with her first time out. Michelle had a huge hit gospel. Beyonce goes solo in This Crazy Love.
Yes.
And she brings the album to the record company. And you're there with her in the room because Matthew couldn't be there.
Matthew was in London trying to sell the record.
And you're sitting across from these executives, some of the same folks, suits, and hold that mic up a little bit. And what happens when y'all play the album?
Well, when we played the album, they said you have, this is nice, but you don't have one hit on this album. And so, we could have walked out with our tails between our legs, and we kind of fought back a bit. And then they said, okay, well, tomorrow we're going to set up a listening session, and we'll get some tastemakers in here. And they got a room full of haters. I could tell it when I walked in. And they played the music, and nobody was bobbing their head. It's a room in the music industry that you got to at least bob your head or pat your feet or do something. There was none of that. And then they were like, people started critiquing. They were like, well, one song is kind of good, but they hated so bad on this record. And so they said, so we met with them the next day, and they said, well, there's your answer. I mean, nobody liked the record. And Beyonce said, I know that this record is ready, and I want to put the record out. And so at that point, I had to stand up because I was just quiet, and I said to them that it is, first of all, not your decision. It is her decision. She knows her music, she knows her audience, and we want the record out. So what she did is she went and called Jay, and he met us, and he got on Crazy in Love, and we brought it back to the record label on Monday. And that just, when you mess with a Virgo, they're so petty. They're not going to sleep until they prove their point. Yeah, so she went and worked on it all weekend, added instruments. That rap on Crazy in Love just took it over the edge. It was already amazing. And we went back to the record company on Monday and gave it to them. Of course, they listened to that song and said, oh my God, this is a hit. And we're like, no shit.